Welcome to Ryan's Running Reviews in partnership with Redesigned Sports, and today we'll take a look at the Nike React X InfinityRN 4. It's a very long name for a running shoe. We're also going to compare it to last year's version to see what changed. Let's run with it. Before we get started, I do want to say these shoes were provided to me by Redesigned Sports. However, no one had a chance to preview this video, and this file synopsis is my own. I'd also like to say please leave a like on the video and consider subscribing. Here we go. The Infinity series from Nike is their max cushion, neutral workhorse daily trainer, good for runners that want a really durable, highly cushioned, and somewhat supportive shoe, because even though this is a neutral option, it does have some supportive mechanisms built into the midsole itself, which I will talk about later. And split this shoe into the broader Nike lineup. It's kind of like the mid-level cushioning. You have the Pegasus right below it, the classic conventional daily trainer. Then you have the Infinity, and then at the top of the lineup, you have the Invincible, which is one of Nike's thickest and softest. Last year's Infinity 3, at least according to Nike, was their most tested running shoe ever, designed to keep runners running and prevent injuries, again, according to Nike. So apparently Nike decided to kind of scrap the old design and completely refresh the Infinity shoe, because it is insanely different from head to toe, or should I say from outsole to upper. The Infinity 4 costs $160, and Nike updated their sample size for which they give all their stats, which means all the numbers I have for the Infinity 4 come for a men's size 10, while all the numbers I have for the Infinity 3 are for a men's size 9. Just keep that in mind as we go through all the different metrics. As far as stack height goes, we have 39 in the heel, 30 in the forefoot for an updated 9mm drop, and I believe that is an increase in stack height compared to last year's version, which had 34 in the heel and 26 in the forefoot for an 8mm drop. So the increase of stack height and also increased the overall heel to toe drop. However, one of the biggest changes is the weight. The Infinity 4 comes in at almost 12.5 ounces for a men's size 10, while last year it was only 10.5 for a men's size 9. So we're looking at a substantial increase when it comes to the overall weight, and that's something I absolutely noticed when using this updated Infinity model. I also want to point out that Nike did send me a size 14 compared to a size 13. So when you see the side-by-side comparisons, keep that in mind, because the new version is a full size larger. Moving on to the upper, we still have that knit material, which is rather elastic and very comfortable. Breathability isn't the best, although I think it is better than last year because they added some strategic lines that give you a little bit of airflow, but on the whole, I will say this is still a rather hot shoe. Nike themselves made it a point to say go up half a size to get the correct fit on the Infinity 4, and I am inclined to believe them. That's probably why I have a size 14. They don't typically make a size 13.5. I thought the fit was pretty good, and I will concur with Nike, definitely go up at least half a size. The size 14 worked quite well for me, although I did have to pull the laces a little bit tight to get a secure fit. The lockdown was okay. Having that knit upper, you have a little bit of kind of stretch to it, so you don't feel like you're truly locked into the platform. And the heel counter has also been updated. It's a lot more flexible and flimsy compared to the much more strict, much more rigid heel counter we saw last year. I thought the lockdown on the Infinity 3 was stellar, just top of the line, and I think it has dropped off a bit here on the Infinity 4. The tongue on the Infinity 4 has also been completely redesigned. Last year, the tongue was integrated directly into the upper itself, and it's a bit more traditional this year with strips of fabric on the lateral and medial side, making it a more classic gusseted tongue. It is a knit-like material, rather elastic, pretty easy to get it in place. I will say it felt a bit thin through the forefoot, or towards the front of the shoe, and then the top of the tongue was a bit thicker, which gives you at least some padding as you tie down the laces. I thought it was okay. I do wish it had maybe a bit more padding, but other than that, it felt kind of very much like a knit tongue experience. And even though it appears Nike widened up the toe box on the Infinity 4 to make it more accommodating, and that was a big gripe I had against the Infinity 3, I do prefer the lockdown on the Infinity 3 for a couple reasons. The first is the heel counter. It's a bit taller, feels a bit more sturdy. It's just not that flexible, and my heel was able to slide in to the heel counter itself just a little bit more securely. The other thing is, I think the fly knit material on the Infinity 3 is just not as elastic compared to the fly knit we see on the Infinity 4, and the Infinity 4 heel counter is just so easy to move around. I didn't feel like my heel was able to slide back as much or just have a good connection compared to last year's version. Again, I know size 14, size 13, that does influence it, but just based on my kind of gut assessment, how my foot felt in these shoes, I feel like last year's fit was just a bit better. This year, it was okay. I just kind of preferred the lockdown on the Infinity 3 just a tad bit more. Moving on to the midsoles, we have two completely different experiences here. Starting with the Infinity 3 last year's version, full-length React foam midsole. It's kind of Nike's tried and true running shoe foam. You also have this large plastic clip that extends from the lateral side around the heel and then up on the medial side to help stabilize the shoe and give you more support. Again, this is a neutral setup, but it's a rather stable neutral running shoe. And then you have that extremely wide forefoot and heel section to give you a stable base to land on. And with the Infinity 4, we have a full-length React X foam midsole, which according to Nike has 13% more energy return compared to the old React foam we saw on the Infinity 3. And again, according to Nike, it also has about 43% less carbon emissions involved with the manufacturing process of this new React X foam. There's also an incredibly wide outsole here to give you more surface area to land on, just like we had last year. However, the big difference is you have a bit more surface area through the midfoot. They just kind of widened it up a bit, giving us even more ground contact. And just like last year, there's a bit of a bevel to the heel. It's not perfectly flat. If you put it on the ground, you kind of see there's a little bit of a rocking side-to-side motion. I think Nike does this to help kind of accentuate the cushioning in the heel. There is no plastic here on the midsole in the Infinity 4 like we saw with the previous two versions of the Infinity with its stabilizing plastic kind of heel frame, heel clip, whatever you want to call it. So instead of using plastic, to the best of my ability, it appears Nike is now using midsole sculpting. So if we take a look on the lateral side, you'll see this clear indentation. If you look on the medial side, that indentation does not exist, which means you have easier compression on the lateral side than the medial side, thus giving you inherent stability for pronation or if you roll inward. So the midsole collapse is a little bit easier to the outside than the inside, which is how the shoe gives you your stability. You see this kind of technology or setup from other brands, and Nike's just implementing it here on the Infinity. At least that's what I can tell. So you have that easier compression on the lateral side, the super wide base, and the shoe is a little bit stiff here too. So you can bind all of those things and it gives you a very stable neutral experience. Although I will say this almost kind of looks like a stability shoe, even though Nike's classifying it as a neutral shoe. So those are the key differences between the two midsoles, at least with regard to their cushioning technology. And after using the Infinity 4, I can absolutely say this is the softer of the two shoes, and it's also slightly more energetic. However, even though you have a thicker midsole and it is a bit softer, you pay for it with the weight of the shoe, which is over an ounce heavier, and it is absolutely noticeable. And when comparing the stability of these two shoes, I felt like the Infinity 3 was the more stable option, mainly because the new React X foam is much softer, and the old plastic heel clip, in my opinion, did a better job of providing guidance if you happen to need it. Nike made this noticeably thicker, softer, and heavier, and I think it works best for those slower paced efforts or for someone who just wants a highly durable workhorse shoe. I don't think it's as versatile compared to its predecessor, mainly because it's over an ounce heavier, and I did think that the Infinity 3 had a more noticeable rocker geometry or kind of curvature towards the front of the shoe, kind of making it flow along a little bit easier. This is just a very heavy, highly cushioned kind of cruiser of a shoe. Thought it was very comfortable, but picking up the speed really was not an option here for the Infinity 4. I would love Nike to maybe make a performance edition of this shoe, take away the knit upper, give us a very light, very breathable engineered mesh upper, and then take some of the rubber on the outsole so you can really allow that React X foam to expand and you can feel the sensation just a bit more, because when you put this much rubber on an outsole, it kind of restricts the midsole, even though I really did like this React X foam, and I'm very excited to see what Nike can do with this compound in the future. Moving to the outsole, we have more surface area on the Infinity 4, and I'm happy to see they gave us these mini lugs compared to the relatively smooth traction pattern on the Infinity 3. That was a one minor kind of gripe I had with last year's traction pattern. So grip and I think overall rubber definitely increases here on the Infinity 4, just again part of the reason why the shoe weighs so much, but I will say I think the traction is a little bit better on this newer edition. So let me know down in the comments, what do you think of this upgrade? Is Nike doing something good by kind of removing their most tested running shoe ever and kind of going back to the drawing board? Or would you like to see a revamped Infinity 3 with React X foam? Let me know in the comments. Well, I'm Ryan from Ryan's Running Reviews, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks.